Hello, and welcome to the Weekly Scroll podcast brought to you by the Adventure Archive. My name is Ryan.
And I'm Lamaci.
Okay,
It's Mint. Mint and Sage.
And there we go. Mint and Sage. You are Sage, Hunter. And with us, we have a very special guest. Anyone watching knows absolutely who this is. This is Jarrett. How are you doing today, Jarrett?
Doing well. How are you guys?
Just so unbelievably good. I can't even describe
Wonderful. It. Very excited. Stoked for this. So for those that might not know who the heck are you? Who's Jarrett?
So I'm Jarrett. I do back end production work on a lot of tabletop role-playing games and board games and other games and stuff like that. And have been this is my 10th year in working in games in a paid capacity. That doesn't mean I've always made all my money doing that. Only recently. I make a lot of games, and I'm here to talk about my new company, Space Penguin Inc.
Very cool.
So let's just. Oh, wait a minute. Now listen, I was gonna forget, and I just said remind me, and I forgot, but I have a post-it note because that's how we do things here. We have what do we got going on for this? We have a giveaway happening. So what's going on with that? Before we get going to anything else, let's get that going.
Yeah, you're right. So a preprint, a proof copy of Forbidden Psalm, Dread Knights. This was one of the copies. It's got a bit of a dent in it, but it's okay. It's a giveaway. This is one of the copies I printed to take with me to GaryCon 2023 back in March, and I had some extras of those. And then our first unreleased laundromat that we did earlier this year, and in partnership with the creator Thriftomancer and Spearwitch. It was funny story. Thrift makes really great stuff, and I was like, let's just do a thing. Some people probably have some things like Violence Jam and House of Dogs and any of the Cave Full of Spider series. Forget everything you thought you knew about Bread Robots, important stuff like that. Beans RPG. I
love the Beans RPG. It's one of my favorite things ever. Yeah. So
some people have seen some of the Dada art type projects, just random stuff. Like people are like, let's do this. I just ordered 2 more stickers. I was sad that they didn't get here in time for the show. But I'll put it this way: they're World of Darkness related. Right. Do a lot of weird stuff, and Thrift was awesome and was just like, yes, do it. And so we printed 100 hardcovers, and then I went in and I hand numbered all of them in the back with silver Sharpie. We kept a few key ones. Thrift got some, Jared got some. I kept a couple. So this is we kept key numbers. Of course, we kept number 1. That's off to the side. We kept number 13 because you can't not keep 13. We kept 42. And this is number 42. It's silver Sharpie on the inside. We kept, of course, 69, the nicest number, and number 100. So, I stuck these in with the secret piles of stuff to pull out for random fun time giveaways. So, we could do 2 winners. We could do 1 winner gets both.
Let's do 2 winners and they have to fight to the death.
Let's do it. Okay. Absolutely.
Yeah, perfect. All right. Be all listening. Good luck.
So be prepared. Okay. So it's been forever since we did a giveaway. So I'm just going to come over here and I'm going to click a little button. And it should be good. So the way we're doing the giveaway is here on the channel. You just have to be following the channel. So you just hit the follow button, and then you just have to hit !SPI for obviously if you're Space Penguin Inc. And that will automatically enter you into the giveaway. And at the end of the show, we will pick one winner, two winners, fight to the death, however it's going to work. We'll decide at the end. You don't necessarily have to be here at the end. We'll just throw your name in one of the Discord servers or something, and someone can reach out to me or to Jarrett, and we'll figure out who that is. And that's it. So we'll close it right at the end of the show. Guys, don't forget to remind me to actually close it and do the giveaway. I
gotta write a sticky note for me now.
Right, yeah. Let's have 3 sticky notes so we all 3 absolutely definitely forget.
Right.
Chad, don't let us forget. So that's going. Just hit !SPA like you're doing, and that's where we're at. So Space Penguin Inc. That's one of the obviously the big reason why we're here. First question I have, and I think it's on everyone's mind, is why Space Penguin Inc.
So Space Penguin Inc. And the really great graphic that's behind Hunter that I can see and is possibly scrolling up on the other monitor above me. Nice. The titular space penguin, itty bitty, the space penguin kitty. She's no longer with us. She passed 3 weeks ago. She was our oldest cat. My partner, Debbie, and I asked Debbie if she wanted to be on the stream, and she said, I don't have enough time to get a suit to sit over your shoulder and tell you to not say things, like a network executive. And I was like, next, we'll do it on the anniversary. That'd be great. Debbie's my best friend, and the reason I'm doing a lot of this and able to do a lot of this stuff. With our oldest kitty, Itty Bitty. She's called the Space Penguin because she has a tuxedo, she's gray and a white belly. And it's just a super cool, mellow cat. She had one little gray toe. We called it the gray toe of doom, and she would just poke you and to pet her. But she had diabetes and some other stuff going on in the past few years. So she passed. We say that she got tired of waiting for us to launch this company, which is true. The art on that logo, Doug Kovacs is a good buddy of mine, and he came through on tour a couple years ago and was visiting the house. And he does you follow Doug's Daily Cats on Instagram. He draws a new cat for his warm-up every day and posts them up. They're all really, really, really great. And he put us on, he drew Itty Bitty, and year or so later, she appeared in the sketchbook. He was like, that's your cat. And I was like, oh, awesome. And so, he gave us the art for that. So that's that. And then the logo design is Stella Condry. Stella, I don't know if you're watching. She's probably watching. The actual logo lettering. Space Penguin. That's it's going to be wonderful and confusing. There will be a page on the website that says, why a cat? And it'll talk about, itty bitty and stuff like that. So
there we go.
Oh yeah.
So we're Space Penguin. I mean, so here's the thing is we're going to be talking in circles and tangents and everything tonight. So if you're listening, try to keep up. So taking it back a little bit from Space Penguin, all the way back to, you said 10 years since you've been doing this stuff paid. What actually got you, I guess, into tabletop games in general? And then what got you into editing and to the point we're at right now?
So I started playing Magenta Box, Arrow Lotus Cover, BX. My uncle taught me how. I was the oldest of 3, so he taught me so I could teach my brothers so we could actually have a game. And then played AD&D, played Rifts, GURPS, TMNT, OS. Those were most of the stuff that we played in high school, small rural town in Missouri. And then I didn't play RPGs through college. Played a lot of board games. Probably I was out in the wilderness of board games for 18 years, something like that. Loved RPGs. Just, you know how it is. Like, it can't get people together for a game. Nobody knows. And this was years ago. And then around the time that DCC was releasing and 5e was coming out, a friend of mine and coworker, Andy Hoover, was like, he was big time 3.5. He was like, I want to run a game. It was me and my partner at the time. And we're like, yeah, cool. He wanted to run fourth edition D&D. And I hadn't played in forever, so not really any preconceived notions. And he came over and he started running some 4E D&D. Now, this is literally like right before 5E. So he'd sunk all this money into all these books cheap. And we played 3 or 4 sessions, set pieces that take hours to play. And he did a lot of terrain and minis and stuff. It's great, great, great. And he was like, I'm going to run this different model for you guys next time. It's not a 4A thing. And he pulled out, and it was a random Goodman Games, but for 3.5. And so, and I really like that look, that old school feel of those 3.5 pre-DCC RPG modules. And so did some research, found it, stumbled into Google Plus. So you'll hear this is a lot from the olds. I remember back in the day.
Google Plus, man.
And then, yeah. And so fell into that and just ended up finding a bunch of folks who played. I think my search string was, does anybody play basic D&D? And then I ended up finding that, and then just goofing off. So that was around 2012, I guess. Yeah. And then looked into learning about and finding out about a little game you might have heard of called Troika. And it was pre the second printing with the really great Jeremy Duncan cover. And then just got to looking around and doing other stuff. One of the first things I did work on, it was free, but proofing a bunch of monsters and creatures and gods and petty gods in the expanded version. So like the really, really big one with all that stuff. And then, Badger Dan Sell at Melsonia into letting me be the editor on Troika and Fever Swamp. Rolled into just kind of meeting a bunch of other folks and knowing them and just being like, hey, let me edit your stuff. 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 I one of those stories that I had a partial English degree, college dropout, never really did all that much with it. So yeah, just kind of did it. And I've always been fascinated by words. I was talking before the show, with Hunter about comic stuff. I read a lot of comic books, read a lot of books and a lot of fiction and just a lot of weird stuff, and love it all. And have always been fascinated, thanks to ADD, to really pay attention to the words and the way things look. And so, yeah, just kind of wrangled that into doing a lot more stuff. And then project managing stuff. Previous life, I was a bartender, bar manager, brewery manager. So the organizational processes and stuff kind of were all there, and just kept at it. And yeah, 10 years later, I'm finally going to do my own thing, because all my friends are tired of hearing me be like, when's my turn? And they're like, I don't know, when is it, Jarrett?
So. I think, 10 years in, you've earned your turn. So yeah, we were kind of talking about comic books beforehand, and you were kind of talking about like how comic books like release and like kind of what you were wanting to take from that. And I thought it was really interesting. And I only caught part of it. I'm going to be really honest with you. So I'd love to go over it again. So like, what about comic book like releases? Were you saying that you were wanting to adapt to like your own like release processes?
A lot of it. And it's a thing that it's not new. It's not revolutionary. You print a volume or you print an issue, and then you collect that into a trade, and you collect that into larger stuff. I mean, it's been happening since books have been made. Part of the reason that I'm really, really fascinated with it is James Tenney IV's work with Razor Blades magazine. James writes all kinds of really great titles. Department of Truth, read it if you haven't, everybody out there. And James' Substack, Empire of the Tiny Onion, is super fascinating. It's just the way that
great name.
Creators, the way the creators are taking back kind of creator-owned comics, again, aren't anything new, but the way that creators are partnering with each other and working with other creators and I'm seeing more behind the scenes names start to come up and really be there. And one of those things is Tinian's published by like every publisher. Like he's got books with everybody, but he owns a little bit of part of that. And one of the things with back and he is a writer, so he's more front end than this particular case, but I think it's just a lot of the process and the structures and the ways they're doing it. But so on the Empire of the Tiny Onion, they release these comics and these, you know, little chunks like that. And then they get a deal with someone like Image to do this big 400-page hardcover, like fully painted, beautiful nonsense. So yeah, it just kind of working with that, working within the means of what I know to do and what we can do and what we have the money to do a little bit, and not necessarily limiting print runs for scarcity's sake, just, you know, what the market can bear right now. And then trying to keep those things in print. And that's, you know, the trade paperback concept, the collected edition concept and stuff like that.
I do like that idea a lot. Like I like the almost like building block approach and having like, cool, here's like, I'm a trade paperback guy. Let me tell you, when I buy comics, it's trade paperbacks, man. Except the Spectre. I have a bunch of those that aren't. But,
Nice.
But yeah, I think that's like a really a clever way to keep engagement, and people have like the ability to big build up and then be like, oh yeah, I want the whole thing. Because me and Ryan are especially Ryan is the guy who's going to be like, yeah, I have all the bits and pieces, and there's a big release. Oh, I want the big release, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, right. I do a lot of that too with certain stuff. With my fairly local comic book store closed at the end of April, so I've switched to ordering online from Things from Another World, and now I only get my books once a month, which is not a biggie, but it's also very weird from not being able to go into that shop and pick up some random stuff here and there. So it's made me not buy stuff constantly, but I've been, to balance that, I'm picking up an extra trade here and there of stuff that I wouldn't read. So yeah, it's also the trick with a lot of small indie RPGs and zines and things like that, going all the way back to like, you know, Judges Guild stuff and all of that, you know, from the 70s to the present. Like it's hard to get. It's out of print. And yeah. I do like collectability. I've got fun stuff in here. But I always want to try to keep as much as we can in print. And I think a slow and steady approach to that, with that, it's okay to recycle these things and put these things together in omnibus editions. Nate Tremais, what is it? Haunted Almanac. Love that book. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so
I've been
good.
picking. Yeah.
Oh no, you go.
Oh, you're good. I've been picking. You're like pointing. Oh, you're doing.
He points to it'd be anything we're gonna talk about. He's gonna have. He's gonna go. Oh yeah, it's this fucking one right here.
I see what he's doing. Okay.
That's what that is.
It's good.
So.
But yeah, no. But Haunted Almanac was great for that, because like I have things like in the first round of the light Ghost Star, like, and I love that, like, super fancy. And then, you know, just some bits and pieces here and there. But there are a bunch of things from Nate's output that I didn't get, and then to have it all in one volume, I think that's super awesome. So, and that could be not just a particular writer, not just a particular artist. It could be a particular designer or design ethos or editorial and stuff like that. So I'll say it a lot, but I circling back, you know, to the back end folks, like the production minions. Like we love what we do. I dearly love editing books. Like I didn't today because I took a nap. But I'm, you know, one of the ones I'm working on for the future, Nickerson's Apotheca, like it's going to be great. It's a big old city book, and I have chunks of time set aside for that. And I just didn't know. That was yesterday. I was okay. I'm 2 days behind. Don't tell anybody. Don't tell Debbie. She'll fire me.
But so talk about editing. I feel like, because we were recently able to do something together, to play a game together, but we talked a little bit about editing, and you talked about, I think there might be a rough number for how many books your name is in that you have edited. Do you have any idea how many exactly, or a rough guesstimate?
So yeah, with the minuscule amount of writing I've done, and I've actually done some illustrations for some random things here and there. I'm not an artist. It's okay. A lot of editing, project management, play testing. It's getting close to 500. I totaled it up, and then I'm going to be doing Tide World of Mani with Joel
Oh
at
yeah.
Silver Arm coming out later this year. And I think when they put up their Kickstarter, I was like, yeah, just put 500 on there. I think I overcounted a little bit, but yeah, it's a lot, and I don't know, I like it. I like there being a lot of it. It means I'm practicing. It means I'm getting better. I think. Anyway, I don't know. Maybe somebody will read the.
I mean, if you're doing a lot, at least you're probably not getting worse. At least, you know.
You never know, right? I've hit the blue period. It's all downhill from here.
That's how it works.
Hey, listen. Yeah, that's fair.
So I mean, and that kind of leads us back to Space Penguin Inc. So this is something you've wanted to do for a long time. You said this is 10 years and it's been a long time coming. At what point did you say, like, what we're at now? When did that start for you? Like, at what point in the process that we've already talked about a little bit, did you decide I want to do something and start working towards it, and then to get to the point that we're at now?
Probably like 3 years ago, 4 years ago, with working with Fiona and Christian with our moon rat conspiracy. In some of the credits, you'll see the little moon rat, or you'll see MRC in parentheses behind certain creators' names. That came from a stoned conversation between Fiona and CK and I, where we all maintain that we came up with the name Moon Rat Conspiracy, about rats living in the moon, and and all this stuff. So we were just kind of like the team. The three of us did a lot of books together there for about 3 years. A lot of books together. And we had thrown around back and forth the concept of doing a full-on company, but then life and jobs and work and everything else, and it just didn't pop. And then about a year ago, it's just, there's always that itch. It just kind of gets there, and it's just like, do it. I will say that I've been working head down since last November, right around my birthday. So about 6 months, a little over 6 months, have been working day in and day out, and not sleeping and waking up and doing things.
Except that nap today.
Well, I did take a nap, 45 minutes. But yeah, if anybody out there wanting to start a publishing company, there's a lot of stuff you got to do. And I knew that going into it, but it's tricky. I live in Florida, and we all know there's a lot of stuff going on down here. But one of the things I like to do is just random. We don't have state income tax, but there's random things that you have to pay for. Yeah, it's not as sunny as it looks. So aside from that, and then the normal day-to-day stuff of working with printers and stuff like that, orchestrating our warehouse partner. We're using Brand Fox for fulfillment in the United States and the rest of the world, and then coordinating that at the same time with our exclusive UK wholesale, like selling direct to Igloo Tree. Hi, Shui, if you're watching, and Dan. That's, again, like, I've worked with Dan at Malsonia for so long, and it was straightforward, obvious choice for me. And she's very, very much like, yes, we can make this happen at Igloo Tree. And then working with Jan Tricht at All the Problems in This World in Berlin to cover EU. So it's something I see a lot of RPG consumers on the small bit of social spaces that I'm in, Discord, and other, Reddit and some stuff here and there, being like, I really wish I could get this, but it's going to cost me the cost of the book and £5 more to have it shipped, so a $15 zine becomes 45. So yeah, just one of those, like, taking a lot of extra time to coordinate when those are going to actually hit there, which they're printing. Yay. One has arrived so far. Our friend Kirby's Adrift has actually arrived in the UK. Nothing anywhere else yet. So yeah, just a lot of that stuff, the day-to-day dance with the printers, banks. Yeah. The part I keep telling myself, once we get over launch, it's going to be a lot easier. I know it's not. I just opened the door and invited Murphy in, didn't I? Come on, Murph. Yeah. Sorry, I talk.
No, you go
No,
off.
go
Man.
off. Yeah.
It's really interesting to listen to you. I mean, there's just so many moving parts, and there's like so much going on. Do you like revel a little bit in the chaos of the problem solving and the coordination of so many things?
When I can get it, when it all sings and it all pulls, when you're the guy with the tablecloth and you rip it out and all the glasses actually stay there on the table. I used to do that when I was a kid. I was fascinated by that guy, and my grandmother hated it, but I never broke anything. I never broke anything. So yeah, but in doing that now, it is fun. It is rewarding when things go right in a row. It's pretty discouraging sometimes. There's, when you're just like, when you're waiting on a bunch of stuff and waiting on just some of a tax ID number, or, funding to arrive from somewhere, or, every little thing puts every little thing else behind. And then as most of the folks in the chat, what? I roll my shoulders. A lot of folks in the chat will know that I do take it very, very personally when I am behind on something. Like I take it very seriously. People get behind. It's art. It's life. It's work and stuff like that. But yeah, when budgetary, fiduciary, infrastructure delays throw roadblocks in the way of working with the people, working with the person in the creative aspect, that's when that's when it has gotten the bummiest and been like, oh man. But then we'll have like really good days like yesterday where it's just like doing all the things, list, and then just getting them done. So and then tomorrow's the weekend. What's the weekend?
What's the weekend?
It's not even the weekend anymore.
Right. Exactly. Saw that.
But so all these moving parts have come together. You are finally, getting to this point where you're. Are we soft launching Space Penguin? Like, what are we? What's the process been to actually like release?
How hard are we launching right now?
Right.
Yeah.
It's super soft. It's super soft. It's a super soft launch party. Right now, books are at the printers, and some are being shipped, and so they're arriving at particular outlets where they will be going out. I have I think you've been rotating images up there with the covers and stuff like that. I have copies of them. Is it show and tell time? Show and tell time?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. Let's go.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We're going to be doing, I met with my marketing person, my marketing friend, Di Sugars, this morning. Shout out to Di for just being an amazing person overall, and helping me with all of this marketing and visual and just kind of keeping me on track. It's been really fantastic. So we kind of set up like a 2-week strategy, and I think we're gonna kick it on Monday. We're waiting for a few more pieces to fall into place as far as like stuff shipping to the warehouse, because we don't want to be like, it's available, and then it, like warehousing partners, they don't want to put stuff up for sale if it's not in the warehouse, and I don't either. I want to make sure that it's actually there. It's been a control thing with me. Like, those of you who might have seen me talk about crowdfunding on different spaces and that, I'm in the I don't like crowdfunding campaign. Does not mean I don't like people who crowdfund. Love people who crowdfund. I have friends at crowdfunding companies. Just for me, for this, I wanted to try this first year and see if we can get by without it, without having to do that. So it's getting the books made and shipped and where they're at, and then just being in control and paying attention to how many we're selling and what we're moving. And if we have something that's available, then it's available and it looks good. So, but yeah, as soon as we get the lockdown on almost all that stuff, we're going to start doing the rollout. So in the next couple of weeks, we're hitting it pretty hard with there's going to be some posts several times a day on the different socials and stuff like that. Some more small giveaways here and there. And then a little bit of a reveal more about the products either way. But I brought them all. Well, I mean, they're here. So we'll go down the list. This Curbs is in the chat. This is their, yeah, exactly. This
I don't have a DT shirt.
I do, but it's dirty. I wore it yesterday. So I've been working with Curbs for almost 2 years now, I think. And on the Halloween trio, Slasher, Paranormal, and Bucket Bash. Bucket Bash is so good. I've been working with Kirby and Kristen on those and doing other stuff. And when they were like, "Hey, this space one," we actually talked the other day, and it just kind of rolled into how it happened was like accidental. But I've wanted to edit them more directly, like in a developmental capacity. So Adrift for Mothership 1E. Also, you can use it with OE. You can use it with Classic Traveler. The crew, I cover blurbs. The crew is hired to recover the records from a derelict cargo ship floating in the islets of Langerhans, an asteroid cluster in the Puck sector. No communication has been sent or received by the ship, but its cargo, an extremely rare phosphorescent algae that has medicinal and weaponous effects, is extremely valuable. So, fetch quest, right? But I don't want to give too much away because as people pick it up, as wardens pick it up and read it, and then there are. Did you know there are people that play RPGs? I thought everybody who was in RPGs was a DM or a warden or a judge or whatever have you, a GM and stuff like that.
Oh, we don't even play. We just read them. So
right. We just read them. That's all we do.
There's that. But no,
people play these?
Right. I know. No, it's great to find that there are still people. There are folks who like, no, I don't run games. I just prefer to, my IRL group. They're relatively new to games and they don't have any interest in facilitating at all. They're just like, we just want to play. And I was like, that is a really cool take on it. For me, I was just always fascinated by being. You remember the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon, the little dungeon master? That guy's haircut was so bad. I always wanted to be that guy. So I don't want to give too much away about Adrift, but do know that it is part of the Puck sector, and there's more to come in the Puck sector. Dun dun dun.
Cool.
There we go.
We'll do the other Mothership right off. Distress Signals by Reese Carter. And I always forget Holly's last name. Holly Jenka. Razlehe did editing on this. Eric Hill did design and layout. And Ruby C also did this awesome, fantastic piece of art. Reese is a good buddy of mine. Known each other for almost as long as I've been in RPGs. He did Dead in the Water, which was released by Exalted Funeral last year. And it's very quickly become one of the quintessential books over on the Mothership server when people are like, what should we run? I'm new to this. I think the real one that makes that sing is there's a clean path and a dirty path. The one where it's like, it's very quiet and haunted. And then the dirty path is like there's still an active fight going on between the crew, the previous crew of the ship and stuff. So Distress Signals is like a further exploration in that concept of like easy to run, pick up and play stuff. And it's a bunch of ships and stations. And so we've got like, a text, we've got spread little mini maps of like what happened, so you can run the ship. And then Holly's fabulous art. It's hard to see in here with my lighting, but it just, yeah, everything you need to, if you're like, oh man, I only got 2 players tonight. Okay, cool. But you still want to play Mothership. Roll up a couple zeros on the app or whatever, and just jump in. We can do that. Or you've got some new players, you want to work them in, or it's literally distress signals. So I'm going to keep going.
Go for it.
Go
Yeah,
for it,
that was
please.
pretty
Yeah.
fun. I'm actually
Hit us
very
with it.
Beyond
Yeah.
the Silver Screen is a revamp reissue of one of my favorite DCC zero level funnels, written by Forrest Aguirre, cover art by James V. West. Who else is in here? Matt Hildebrand, David Lewis Johnson, Nicolo, and Thomas Gile, all interior art. For those of you, you guys know DCC zero level funnels, you get 4 zeros. They're not actual characters quite yet, and they are, but pretty squishy. Beyond the Silver Scream is an homage to 1970s film, going to a theater, you know what I'm saying, going to see Phantasm and shit like that. It rolls nicely into this adventure funnel. We've added in some extra stuff. We've put in there's now a D30 table of what's stuck to the theater floor, because you need stuff like that, right?
Absolutely.
Right. It's just one of those. It's a super fast, super clean. Is an early third party DCC funnel. The maps are super awesome. Matt Hildebrand did the original design and layout on all this, and Matt was really awesome and cool. And was like, yeah, no, I still have those design files, and gave them to me so that I can go in there and, just do some sprucing up and another, quick edits pass and stuff like that on it. For those who don't know, Matt is the art director at Goodman Games. And so he bought stuff for DCC in the last, I think Matt's been there around 6 years now, 5-6 years. If you're ever at a show and you want a good time, pop into one of the seminars that Matt leads about the art of DCC or the art of Appendix N. Really good. Really good. I love you, Matt Hildebrand. I've also got
Great
some
art,
things.
too.
Got some things in the works with him and some other folks later in the year too. BTSS. Two more.
Go.
2 more.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Garden of Corda by Cade Kreitz, with the development and design by Christian Kessler, editing by myself. So Troika. And
we love Troika. I love
right.
Troika.
And one of the mythological things in Troika are the giants of Corda. And Cade has taken that to a nice new level, and has built a biological and a plant. I don't know what words are. A flora and fauna research station inside the heart of one of these giants, right? And there's an infection and other stuff going on. So they did all this beautiful, 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 beautiful art. I'm going to show. Where is it at? Yeah, this one here. So these are all hand drawn, hand painted. Like I love the shit out of this. Super nice, simple little drop in spot for any Troika campaign. Whether it's if you're going dark and gritty, or if you're going the whimsical and whatnot.
Yeah.
The other really neat thing about Garden of Corda is it also can slot really nicely into Mothership 1E or 0E. We didn't put stats in it for that, but the entire time while I'm working on these I'm just like, oh yeah, no, and I'm just thinking in Mothership think while reading Cade's writing and stuff in here. Super, super, super nice. It is also dual statted. Look, Christian, I said statted, not stated. It's dual statted for D&D, like BX essentially.
Yeah, let's say there are BX stats in there. I was looking through it earlier. Yeah, I might have seen a little copy.
Oh yeah, no, I sent you the PDFs on purpose.
Yeah.
Just it's one of those going forward. I mean, and again, like I said, it's nothing new. A lot of people have done it, but I like books that that are out of the way but utility, right? So something like that, like having those BX sets in the back. Same thing we did with Ruinous Palace of the Metagorgos, Evie's book at Nelsonia.
Point to it, Ryan. Point to it, Ryan. I see you about to point to it. Do it.
We added in those extra stats. I'm a person that runs Classic Traveler is probably my favorite of all the games. DCC probably second most, and I can run DCC from sleep. Like I know the stat modifiers, and I can give you probably reasonable spell effect results for a bunch of basic stuff. 400 some odd games, 500 games, I don't know. And Mothership and Troika and all these things. And so I think in a lot of systems at the same time, all the time. So having those in a book really makes it super useful to me. A lot of the stuff that's going to come out from Space Penguin Inc. are going to have, the writers system that they're writing it in, and then one of their favorite or one of my favorites, or somebody else on that particular collaborative projects, doing a thing where it's just like, just more stats. It just makes things so much easier.
Yeah, I mean, that's awesome. Like, that means if a Mothership book comes out and I just think it's cool, but I don't play Mothership and I play, some kind of BX clone, which I do, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna pick that up because I know Space Penguin's got probably some BX or something rules in the back that I can gain context from. Yep. So very cool. I do like that a lot.
Yeah. Well, and that and you'll see more of that coming out once we at the Mothership boxed set. It's coming, I promise. Once that is locked in, you should see my freelance calendar. It's pretty full right now, which is exciting because that I know that product's late, but hey, okay, it is coming very, very, very soon. And when it's in, I say that, but once that's locked in, you're going to start seeing, like I said, a lot of those conversions, stuff like that. Like you can't really do a Rosetta Stone unless, I guess you really could, but it would be almost someone's full-time job to do that sort of translation with all the number of systems and resolution mechanic kits and tools and everything that everybody uses. But yeah, the more utility, the better. I want my tools to be super useful. Multi-tools.
I also think that when you create conversion rules for a different game style, like even just the context of converting it to something else, even if maybe that's not what you play, you're like, okay, that's how they convert it. That's how I think about it. I know how that system works, and I play this system, so I still think it's incredibly useful, even if it's not exactly the same system that you currently play,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and if you make something that has, like, the more usable something is, the more use you can get out of it. I mean, that's just how things work. So if you have something that has multiple stat blocks or more than that, like the odds of someone actually not just buying it and reading it and putting it on a shelf, but actually using it for the things you're using it for is it's fantastic to have that. I also just love how much 1E stuff is out before 1E is out. Like it's you got a whole shelf of Mothership stuff before Mothership even drops. So that's cool to see too.
It's getting there. The cool thing about that is that system is like and I'm sure people on the server get tired of hearing me reply to them or reading me reply to them. Do what works for your table, but it really is do what works for your table. There are things that and quite a few things that I've worked on that folks are just like, are you guys changing this? Are you changing that? And I was like, I don't know. But if you want to put it out and you want to say that it's for that, and then that's your timeline for your book to get out there, it's going to be okay. You know what I'm saying? Like it's nothing's unbelievably broken. Like it'll all be addressed in some way, shape, or form. Might have to expand the conversion pamphlet extra page or something. So conversion zine. Don't kill me, Sean, if you're listening. I don't know what to do with that. Okay, and then the last of our launch titles, Dread Knights. This one been working.
That red cover is cool.
That's going to be the launch hardcover. So a lot of people watching, some people in the chat, other folks. Forbidden Psalm is a skirmish miniatures agnostic game for inspired by and originally written the first couple for Morkborg, and Dread Knights is your vampires and your Draculas. Your squad, instead of being a war band going out and in the world and traveling through Galgenback, etc. Or like in the case of the last war, being in that weird war. In this one, your band are all hunters, and they're going out to fight things that go bump in the night. Of course, there is vampirism, and there's lycanthropy, so those are super fun. And then there's all kinds of other classic Gothic and Victorian era monsters done up in Will's traditional style. Like this is the 17th, I think it's the 17th Forbidden Psalm, between books and zines and stuff like that. So I'm lucky enough to Ryan's counting them all. I'm lucky enough to met Will a couple years ago and started doing editorial stuff with him, and then when we're at EF pushing the stuff out. This one I ran some games of this at GaryCon, and there's a final scenario in here which involves a lot of monsters, as you would in a final scenario. And then I was like, oh yeah, there's 4 players, not 2. So I had to go and scrounge, and I pulled up a bunch of meeples that I had in my travel bag, and I picked up a bunch of minis from the dealer's hall. That table was it was a clusterfuck of little of miniatures all over it. Both games, players managed to win. It was very, 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 very close. So yeah, this one is soft cover. Usually, I love the soft covers. It's part of what got me really wanting to work on Forbidden Psalm was the soft cover of the first one, because I can take and crush it and bend it and use it at the table. And then
Ryan's brain, blood just starts running from Ryan's ears, and his nose. He's like, oh god.
Yeah. You should never see my DCC core book. Wait. My DCC core book. It's a 2-part book. This thing has seen a lot of play, a lot of use. So
I love a good worn used book too. The thing is, I'll just buy a second one and then just beat up the second one. So yeah, that's how we do. But no, I love the Forbidden Psalms. The what they've done the entire time with the soft covers and the hard covers is great, and I like the tweak in the cover, so you get a little bit different. Originally I think it was just white to yellow, but with gosh, I think it was like Last War, and even the one after that, where they almost did where they did a completely different cover between the soft and the hard. And it's just really cool to be able to, because obviously I'm going to get both, so it's nice to have 2 separate covers for both. So
you're gonna have to get 3, because for launch we're doing a quick run to get them printed faster. And Will was like, I'm just going to do it all black, so it's all black and the skull is in white. So those will be that run, and then these will be the main run of the hardcovers. I really, 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 really like this red a lot.
It's gorgeous. Yeah.
Ryan's about ready to read this credit card number off to you right now.
Right. Just sign it up. One of the cool things with this was Will limited himself to just black, white, and red. So which are my favorite colors.
Right.
Yeah, so it's very clean compared to other Forbidden Psalm previous Forbidden Psalm releases and stuff like that. So there's a bit more of a narrative aspect. There's a lot of fiction that goes into it. Yeah, more of a kind of shading over into that book for people who want to read a little bit more out of it too. Yeah, so those are our launch titles.
That's a really strong launch release. Like
that's a hard soft release, Yeah.
Yeah, that soft release is so hard, man.
Yeah. Well, it hits systems that I work on and that I love. And working with folks who I've been lucky enough to work with, and then some new person. I haven't actually worked directly with paid on a book that they wrote, and it's their first book, Garden of Corda, and I'm just like that. That makes me like so super happy. And it's the same thing. Like, if you want to hang on one second, I'm going to do the big list. I'm just going to shout out a bunch of titles.
Yeah, please.
For these, because like I said before the show, I have the next 4 years kind of milestoned out where I want to be with this stuff, and how we want to do this. And so part of that was early on was getting with a bunch of my regular collaborators and friends and just being like, what do you have? What do you have? What do you have? We very, after about 4 months, we had to stop the new pitches because there were a lot of really great ones, and there's a lot of great ones coming in all the time. But I want to do service to the ones that we've agreed on and worked on, Amanda P. Writing, and Tony Tran art on Resonant, which is for Mothership. Seth Ian, Aaron B. And Anxiety Wizard on Fear City for Troika. Silicondry, Mark Conway, Prison of the Forsaken Bear God for DCC. Diogo Baruch, Matt Kay on Hodel Island. That one's going to be part of our second wave, so that'll come out next quarter. We've got a few of these launched up. I originally had the idea, was like, we'll do 3 a month. It's going to be great. And then, because but when it's less people on the infrastructure team, me, it takes a little bit longer. So some of these things have been shaded, but Hodel Island is it is, if you've ever read Jogo's Pax Reptiliana, which is just super farcical, weird troika. Hodel Island's kind of an existence of that, taking the piss out of the crypto bros a little bit. These things happen.
Like you should.
Yeah.
Should.
Working with, like I said earlier, Nikitin on Pothica, which is a big city book, inspired by the Water Margin, like Chinese epic, like Outlaws of the Marsh type sort of stuff. I was like unaware of that, and then Nikitin started like telling me about it, and then we're hip deep in the editing of that one. That's going to be a big city book and how to build this mythical Pothica.
Cool.
Stoked about that. Working with Skullboy on a project. I didn't touch base with Skullboy to ask if I had to say which project, but let's just say it has something to do with Better Legends. And a newcomer, Horace Kemp, Sam Kemp, working on Cobra Express. It's going to be dual stated for DCC and D&D. Kind of like an introductory series of modules. Cobra Express, it tells you what's going to happen. It's going to be on a train, right, and a bit of a railroad. I personally have particular philosophy when it comes to running a lot of public plays, and Sam, the author creator, runs a lot of public plays. He's a professional for hire DM, and he's got these series of 4 books, introductory teaching stuff. And like seeing it's one of those that we're going to be dual statted. That's going to do a lot of teaching when it comes to, getting people to jump over from D&D or to go back and forth or just to try new stuff.
No, just to bail.
Right. Comprehensive Care Center in the Mountains by Spooky Rusty. That one is it's still locking in. Spooky's in the chat. He's gonna what? We have said very nice things about 5e97. I love that bot, whatever that is.
Yeah, we iterate every time we dunk on 5e a little bit. So
gotcha. Comprehensive Care Center is ostensibly Troika, possibly liminal horror. It's about a comprehensive care center in the mountains, written and designed by Spooky Rusty. It's good. It comes from a place from them, and it hits a lot of notes with me as someone who has worked in mental health field and experiences mental health concerns, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, I've been on both sides of those, and it's a nice, interesting way. We're going to see what we can do with it, again, without gamifying the situation. Like, that's one of those big things.
Yeah.
But possibly presenting the experience of being involuntarily put into a place. It's not fun. But that's, doing a lot of intricate work with that. I think Rusty said that's on its like 7th draft or 8th draft right now. So we're really focusing on the writing. Penguin Adventures that Debbie and I are writing. Some of you might have heard of a game called Outdoor Survival. It's what Gary and Dave used to kind of sort of codified their hex crawling outdoor procedures for D&D, back in the day. I love Outdoor Survival. It's also from 1960s, so it's a rough one, rules wise and stuff like that. But the underlying bits, it's the same thing that we do all the time. You start in a hex, you roll for direction, you have situations and stuff like that. So Debbie and I, we play a lot of board games, and so we're designing our take on Outdoor Survival called Penguin Adventures. And cool. Stella Condry is working up the design for that one. We're going to do a cool thing. We're going to launch that as a cheap or free, or plenty of community copies. Rules, just the basic rules with a jam behind it. I know there's different schools on, do you do a jam or do you not do a jam? We want the jam aspect for this because there's really, you can do all kinds of stuff with scenarios. You can do all kinds of stuff with reskinning. So we have the basic one, Penguin Adventures, which is based off of our cat, Itty Bitty, and your characters are cats going through the countryside. You have to have food. You have to get food and water to.
I'm sold. That's the one for me. So it's a hex crawl where you're cats and that's the countryside.
It. Yeah, but it's just the board game aspect of it, right? Yeah. So you have movement rules, and then you roll a die to see if you have an encounter. If you have an encounter, you roll or pick the encounter, and then you do that. And each little scenario with it, they're meant to play out in like 35-40 minutes tops. Like it's a super casual board games. So the first one is like your cats, and then we also have one there where there's going to be unicorns looking for rainbows. We also have one where you're going to be like punk kids in a van, and you got to make sure that the drummer has enough cocaine. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be all ages. There's going to be normal stuff. There's going to be kids versions that no. Debbie's like, no. She's like, yeah, no, we're doing that one. I was like, oh, of course we are. So we're going to open up a jam with that one, and kind of encourage and see what people do. And hopefully if some of those ones come out of the jam, if we get some really good ones, or if we get some really interesting or whatever, work with those people collaborating, doing that. And then again, sometime down the line, collecting that stuff into a nice big box set with extra maps. We're talking about getting folks to do like quarterly map packs for that, different writers writing different scenarios and stuff. So it's just kind of, yeah, I don't know, which segues to the other, not quite RPG, but the other one, board game, Kill the Wizard. I've been working on Kill the Wizard for about 2 years, for about a year, seriously. And it's called Kill the Wizard because you're a crack team of people. They're actually our characters from an old DCC game. Wayne Snyder used to run a game called Warlands for us, which was, his secret was, it was just riffs. And I was like, I know, but it was really good. But in DCC, if you look on DCC, I think it's 92.5, Dread on Demon Crown Hill. You'll see a little party on the front there. That's our party from that. Doug painted us into this. So we've kind of kept those characters around, and we make references to them here and there. So I have taken in writing up those characters as the adventuring party. Kill the Wizard is pretty much a dudes on a map. So it's taking my favorite parts of Hero Quest and Talisman and the old TSR Vampire pocket game from '82, that really killer Aero Lotus cover on it. And just taking, we play a lot of board games, and a lot of board game rule books are rough. Would say that? Yeah.
I think just a bit. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a huge fan of Fantasy Flight, but their rule books are difficult sometimes. And so one of the things that I really want to do with the rule books for us is just make things like super duper easy. So simplifying a lot of the stuff. Andrew Bellery, Fallen Arrows, who does a lot of the shirts. Well, Epic Levels is his rap band. Rap band. Wow, I'm old. His rap group. Epic Levels, good shit. He and Steven. Andrew also makes and designs shirts, and Andrew's doing the map for Killer Wizard. He's actually coming down next month, and we're locking ourselves in here, and we're bashing the rest of this game out. It's gonna be my first board game. As a lifelong player of board games, there's probably gonna be a lot of tiers, a lot more tiers than usual. But there's gonna be a map, and there's going to be screen printed character meeples and some little acrylic doodads and stuff like that go with it. Nice rule book and stuff like that. But again, super simple. The kind of stuff you play after you've been at a convention all day, and you've either been working the table or you've been doing it, and everyone's exhausted. And we've run our late night DCC Hobonomicon shenanigans, and there's a few people left, and we want to play a game. And so that's like the level of it's like post beer and pretzels. Is like there we go. That's it's post beer. That's all I had to do is put post in front of it, and I fixed it. So, and then real quick hits on a bunch of the rest of the stuff. Rebar and Venison are two titles coming from Seamus Brad at some point in the future. Venison was in the Violence Jam book from last year, and there's going to be an expanded version of that. There's a few. It didn't get clearance on whether I can talk about those two. I'll make sure mention it the next time I do a show. Working with some folks who've done some stuff before, and doing some reissues and some re-envisioning of some like modules from several years back, stuff like that. Like a game called Bunnies, and it just Bunnies. That's all you need to know right now. At the Mutants of Madness, which is an MCC module by Forrest Gary, the same guy who did Beyond the Silver Scream. Cretan Codex by Stella Condry, Stella is writing 500 monsters for DCC.
Holy crap.
I know that Goodman Games has a module, has a book coming out. I know there's a bunch of monsters in it. Stella's is going to be Stella's. I'm sure you guys know Stella's stuff. The Rimbound Transmission pamphlets, just really good. Wait, you don't know that one? Is that something you don't have, Ryan?
No, I absolutely 100%.
Okay,
I don't know
stuff. It's like I don't have it. I was like, shit. I'm starting this week on developmental passes on the first 100 of those. Those are going to be released in that same fashion. Here's a book. We're talking about color coding. We're talking. We're getting art order in line and stuff like that. And it's one of those. It's going to be statted for DCC, but also statted for other systems in there. And some of these things. I just have to say the names of some of these. Wheaton Codex. I'm in the wrong one. Dire Skunk. That's not giving too much away. Dire Skunk's good. There'd be some classics like Kelpies, but then Living Vampires. So if you know Stella, and if you met her or seen her on stream playing Living Vampires, yeah, exactly. I know it's going to be just that level of uncomfortable weird. It's going to be really good. I've been in talks with Logan Dean about a bunch of stuff. Logan's The Company is one of my favorite books of the last 3 years. So good. And Logan, like myself, is also a background logistics person and does a lot of stuff, like does literal logistics. And he's taught me a lot of stuff in the very short time that I've known him about how to do a lot of this stuff that we do on the back end better. A couple of folks local to us here in Cape Coral, Daniel is going to be doing Primer, which is Daniel runs a group that they play VTM 5 a lot, and they play a lot of 5e D&D, and they played a lot of 4e D&D. They tend to be towards story or slightly crunchier stuff. They play a lot of Pathfinder stuff, and separate Divergent Evolution. Daniel doesn't know anything about like the G plus, the OSR, like the indie RPGs and stuff like that. Just knows what he wants to play and what he's writing. And so he's writing a game called Primer, which is his fantasy heartbreaker, but has no idea about all of this stuff. And it's so great. And so working with him on that. And then he has a hack, an homage to Fire Emblem called Sword and Spear that we've been throwing back and forth for a bit. Christian Kessler, who works on a bunch of stuff with me here. I've got a few projects lined up with him. I'm just going to throw names: Survivors of the Core Wars, Fingers of the Worm, and then it's not named yet, but there is yet a third board game. So that we're going to be doing. It's going to involve hexes and magic. And then
you just said, man, let me tell you, that was 2 keywords for me. There's hexes and there's magic. I'm in. You got me. So
right. And then I drew the arrow. Seth Ian's Nowhere News, which is a project. It's a broadsheet project that Seth and I've been throwing back and forth for a year plus now, and that is getting close to that. Broadsheets, fold them out. You got maps. I know that Adam Voss has done some things like that in that larger format, and I had proclaimed 2022 the year of the broadsheet. Only got one broadsheet out, which was part of the Last War Kickstarter. But it's more modular, more stuff like that, I guess. Yeah. Like expanding. I think it's part of the reason I'm doing what I'm doing is to make games that I want to play.
You've named so much stuff, but there's so many projects in there that I'm really interested in, like kind of diving into. I'm really looking forward to them coming out. I'm kind of looking forward to the Primer one you were talking about, because I'd love to see the game made by somebody who has nothing to do with the OSR scene.
Yeah.
Because I'm so far removed from like that more like crunchier, modern D&D kind of Pathfinder scene. That sounds really interesting.
Yeah.
So you got you just have a couple things going on.
Just a few things.
Just a few.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do with all your extra free time?
Oh well, finish editing the Mothership box set. Editing Tide World Monty, but for Silver Arm later this summer. I have Hypatia's Angst, Sean Richer, Orbital Intelligence. You all know Crapland and Dungeon Grand Prix, and Turn Willow and Stratos Fiend. There's a constant back and forth pipeline with Sean. Currently, I think next up from there, I did development for the dirt bike Dungeon Grand Prix riff, so it's all fucking dirt bikes. So that one, Sean's like busy writing that one, so that'll come over pretty soon. And then the Cycle of the Snake Wolf 2/3. It's Cycle of the Snake Wolf 3, but it's the second part of Cycle of the Snake Wolf 2.
Okay.
But it's technically the third in the Snake Wolf cycle.
But it's Cycle of the Snake Wolf 2.5.
So it's like First Blood part 4 kind of situation.
Yeah. Half-Life Part 2.
I mean, you would expect nothing less from an Orbital Intelligence joint. That one, I've sat with him with the dev on that one already. It involves a weird black site underneath these like mountains and all this other stuff, and there's a city, and don't want to give too much away about it, but it's gonna be really great when it comes out. The whole time I was like doing dev on it, I was just like thinking like all the Twin Peaks and stuff like that. But one of my favorite shows, I'm like in that mindset. He was like, oh no, he had some other whole aspect of it. I was like, well, it's gonna work, it's gonna be great. So yeah, that's my free time is taken up by doing a bunch of other freelance editing for a lot of stuff, and playing games. And we got 2 new kittens, because Itty Bitty passed, and we've got her little brother, the Jeeves, the Guibus, he was not doing so hot for a few days. Like he just was not. He was not having a good time, and neither were we. And so we got two new kittens, Bo-Katan and Sabine, and they are terrors. They're great. So yeah, hanging out with Debbie. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, I have no idea how you keep all or any of that in your head at any time, because I'm like, man, I run a game and then I do this and I work, and I mean, I guess I'm taking classes too, but like, dude, I couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine doing all of that.
Post-it notes. See, like the stack even has stuff written. I don't even know what this is. Oh, this was Friday. This was stuff that I think I might have got a few done today.
I just have one that says Gray Toe of Doom on it.
Nice.
Which is now going to be a magic item somewhere in one of my games.
Hell yeah. Debbie will love that. Debbie will love that. Yeah, just part of it, like you said, with stuff that goes on in my brain of just practicing and using organizational software and getting to really know spreadsheets and
that makes sense.
An overall program to keep stuff on. Notebooks, for years I worked off of kitchen ticket pads because I worked in restaurants and bars and stuff. And so, the ticket pad that you write an order on, and I would have one for Melsonia and one for Mothership and one for Orbital Intelligence and one for EF and one for, Hobonomicon, and they would just sit stacked on the desk, and I would pull one out and I would do a little bit of work on that, and I'd do something. And then when the page is mostly scratched out, you tear it off and you rewrite what you don't, and you do it there. When we moved here from KC, I had 4 comic book short boxes full of just those notes, because I wouldn't throw any of it away, because you never know when you're going to miss something or you're going to.
Yeah, you got to reference back eventually.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I had 4 comic book short boxes stacked very tightly full of those notes. Nowadays it's in tracking software and stuff like that. Or I have, a couple of grid notebooks that I use to keep like all of the business stuff in one and then all of the game stuff in another one. So yeah.
So you have a million, plates in the air, but at one point you said you're talking about want to try 3 releases a month, but what's your actual release schedule gonna be like for like how many games you'd like to put out and how frequently you're actually gonna put those out, both board game and tabletop game?
Mm-hmm. So for this year, those first 5, the zines, and then the hardcover, softcover for Dread Knights. So those will be our launch. Those will, like I said, starting in the next couple of weeks. They'll be eventually available for sale once they're in the warehouses and they're good and live and we're testing and nothing's broken. Then follow all the socials and all that stuff. Like we've got a Substack that we're working on. We're going to be hitting the stuff next week and doing some pushes to get some more folks' eyes on stuff. So yeah, sometime here in the next, I'm really literally hoping in the next 3 weeks to be able to say these books are on sale. And then we've got a few, like looking at my list here, I've probably got 3 more that are fairly close. So those will be in quarter 3. I'm going to be traveling in the fall for a friend's wedding. And I also, according to the rules, I have to kill that same friend. So
good luck.
I know. Right. And then seeing, so we're going to be over in the UK and in Europe, visiting folks. We're going to go to Berlin. We're going to visit Jan's shop. We're going to visit Igloo Tree headquarters and stuff like that. Like, get to know people, visit a bunch of like brick and mortar stores, make some contacts and stuff like that. So a lot of August is taken up by that exploration trip. And then the fall, going into the late fall, I think some more release, like 3 or 4 more. Oh, Prison of Forsaken Bear Gods actually is really, really, really close too. That's in art stages. Resonant is in art stages. So probably 3 to 5 more during quarter 3. And then I can't really speak too much more to what quarter 4 will look like. super hoping to have the Penguin Adventures, like a print version of that with the nice fold out map for the board and all that stuff.
Can't wait for that.
Yeah, that one's gonna. I think we're gonna do box sets. That's another thing. Growing up, I loved box sets, and who doesn't love box sets? And I like getting like 3 or 4, letter size saddle stitched booklets and zines and whatnot with some maps and stuff like that. That's the sort of stuff that I like, that I want to see more of and make more of. So we're gonna do more of this. And just entry level stuff, like less worried about. I'm not so much worried about how they'll be received as a product, because I know people like boxes. I love boxes, right? I'm more wanting to make sure that whatever we do, that it hits and it has everything and nothing feels like an afterthought, and it doesn't seem like there's extra space in there. You know what I'm saying? This is not shitting on the 5e starter box. I thought the 5e starter box is good, and I like the Phandelver adventure.
Yeah, it feels totally like acceptable adventure.
Listen, I will say Phandelver was probably their second or third best adventure that 5e has ever put out.
Yeah. But it felt like there was something missing in that box. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
It's like you open it up and it's like there's the rules introduction, and then there's the module, and then there's maps, and there's character sheets and some dice. I didn't realize what it was just a tiny little bit of a lore book or a setting book, because I think that was in Phandelver, but
kinda
Phandelver could have been.
It's like super local.
Phandelver could have been split into 2 things. That's what what I'm saying. It feels like a box needs 3. Again, I say this, and then when we get to other box sets further down the line, and there's going to be like, oh no, I totally have no idea. It'll change. I did realize I did skip the other part. So in addition to Forbidden Psalm Dread Knights, we're going to do the print run of Morkwall later in the summer. So see, it's another one. Let's see, I'm not that organized. I am organized. So Morkwall is going to come out at some point, and working with 28 Mag. I don't know if either of you know 28 Mag, but it's a great open
like minis. Yeah.
Yeah, open source, like you can get the PDF, just it's the number 2 and the number 8 in MAG 28 Mag, and working with Will and Alexander there. With that, we're going to be doing a just slipcase edition of their first 4 issues. A couple of volumes. There's a lot that goes into that with rights, because you got to get rights for the miniatures, for the images, and then the photographs and stuff like that, because certain sculpts you can't use. Certain companies, I'm not going to name them, but don't want you taking pictures of their stuff unless it's in their official house joint. Oh wait, what? Who could that be? But yeah, and doing with that, working on a version of Forbidden Psalm aimed at kids, aimed at younger players. It's working titles childhood. It's going to have some fantastic 8-bit art that Alexander's doing. Reminds me of Earthbound, of Mother 3. Like I love the art. I'm so excited. You can find that stuff over on the Forbidden Psalm Discord. And then also, along with 28 Mag, and working with Alexander, is I'm going to actually be fulfilling from local to me, not through the warehouse, Fist in the Eye Miniatures, which is part of the folks with 28 Mag. There are 3 sculpts. There's 2 orcs, and there's an explorer that are out, and you can check out, like, in the most recent issue of 28 Mag, which should be up shortly if it's not. There's a spread in there about the explorer, and Will statted it for Forbidden Psalm. Really cool paint job. Yeah, no, tomorrow is going to be kind of weird Christmas for 8-year-old me. 8-year-old me is jealous of almost 48-year-old me, because I will be getting in the mail from Wales a box of miniatures packaged and ready to go, and then in plastic bags, and then from a supplier in the United States, clamshells for to put these in, and then we're getting some packaging designed up, and yeah, we're doing some limited runs. We're doing like, you know, a few hundred of each of the orcs and several hundred of the explorers. They're not meant to be like, oh no, limited time only, you can never get them again. We're just doing small runs because this is new for us, you know.
Right.
Like this is it's a new thing. As it timed out, they were getting ready to do these at the time that I'm ready to do this. And you know, originally working with, you know, fulfillment warehouse and two exclusive retailers in other countries, I wasn't really going to get to do a lot of order fulfillment from here. So this, you know, from like in my city, so it was actually kind of nice, like to have these short runs. Personally, obviously, we're hoping that everyone loves these so much that we can literally scale up to production really fast and do that. But there's just something awesome about hands-on, like Debbie and I sitting at the table and packaging the little mini with the card inside there and bubble stamping it and then putting it, like, that's, I mean, that's, you know, I want to do it. I like to do it. Like, I like to send out care packages and random stuff. That's, you guys got to give me your addresses too, by the way.
Absolutely. I would say, like, I really hope that you guys get to the level of like high level production, but like genuinely when I get stuff in the mail that somebody did by hand and like packed up and gave me, I'm like, oh, I fucking love this. This is great. You know, there's some soul to that, you know?
Yep. Yeah. I really love it. Like I said, I got in stickers, and it just, I don't know. It's just it's the fun of making stuff and doing stuff. When I was, you remember pen pals when we were kids? We had pen pals, like, and you would write letters to kid in another country, and they would send
pen
you a
pals,
letter
man. I never had one, so
it was so fun. And like, that's kind of, now I'm lucky I got pen pals all over the world. Like, I'll literally put you on my address list, and make these stickers for like Thinking Adventures and for Space Penguin and other random shit. And you'll just, all of a sudden there will be a little, everybody will be like, oh, I got the new sticker. And I was like, yeah, cool. And they're cheap. I can make them inexpensively. And it's just a tiny bit of joy in this messy, fucked up world.
I think that's really cool. There's a really dumb board game that I'm trying to find a copy of, and if I find it, I might send it to you. So
what is it? Because
it's called Volcanic Bird Enemy and the Voice Concern game.
Oh, I don't know that one, but
it's like incredibly dumb and small and by the small artist, but like, since you appreciate board games, and I feel like you appreciate weird stuff. If I find another copy of it, I'll send it to you.
Oh, hell yeah. Love that.
I definitely post a note address to Jarrett. So eventually I'll get to that post a note, and then we'll get that. So lot going on, lots up in the air, lots happening. Where can people find all of this stuff, that, like, when it's going to release? Like, I know you're on Twitter, you have your website, but what are those so that people listening can find those?
And so I have to look at it because I don't use Twitter in daily life. That's what you said. Partnering with marketing person to do this stuff was the best. Hiring a marketing person was the best decision for me, because I am just unknown and unaware. You know, Jarrett Sinclair gave me an award a few years back for not having a Twitter, and I appreciate that. You know. So it's at Space Penguin Inc. And I don't know as if Twitter's case sensitive, but it's at Space Penguin Inc. Our website is www.spacepenguin.inc. Shout out to Mikey Lombardi for teaching me about top level domains the day that we did that, because we knew the Space Penguin part was going to be in there.
Right.
And I kept coming with odd random things, and Tony Vicinda was like, oh my God, that's way too long of a name. It was like four word names for the company. And he was like, no, it's just too much. And then I was trying to find, we were going to do Space Penguin. And then Mikey, we went to the list of top level domains and we found .inc, which is for creative printing, and tattoos, things I like. So it worked out pretty well. And yeah, so then Space Penguin Inc. was just kind of, that's boom. That day that I ordered that domain, like last fall, was the day that the name was set in stone.
Nice.
Facebook page is in the works. Again,
What's that?
I know a lot of folks
Haven't
don't
had it in
use
a
it,
decade,
but
yeah.
right, there's a lot of folks who still stick with it and use it and stuff like that. So we'll do that. I do with the visual medium of books and and words and art and pictures and stuff like that. Instagram, I think, and I think the Instagram is going to be the one where there's a lot of stuff going on. We're talking with that, we've got a plan to do stuff that we're doing with the Twitter and stuff like that. But yeah, a lot of it is just going to be like, hey, here's our stuff and here's what it is. And doing shows like yours and Tony's and hanging out with other folks. There's one in the can with Logar at Wobblies that's going to come out in June. Met him the other day. Awesome. I'm doing Spellburn next week. I used to, host Spellburn and stuff like that. So that's great. Just doing these shows and stuff like this and being able to talk a little bit and giving a little bit more of a face or a voice to kind of what we're doing.
Yeah.
And then, the Substack is going to be the big place where we're going to have interviews with the creative teams. Like Di has done interviews with all of the creators, all our launch titles, asking them about stuff. And yeah, just giving a bit more of a face to it. So yeah, so there's the Instagram. I don't remember what the Instagram is. Sorry. I can look it up. This is
It's like I make this joke that like no one ever knows their itch page, like, well, creators come on and I'll be like, yeah, so we're working by yourself, and they're like, yeah, I have an itch page, and I'll have it pulled up, and they'll be like, I don't know what it is.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what it is, and Di's gonna watch this. Di's gonna watch this in the morning and be like, "What?" And I'll be like,
What?
"It's okay."
Hey,
That's okay.
if you send it to us, and we'll put it in the
Right.
in the notes in the VOD or something, and we'll make sure that everyone knows where to find Space
But
Penguin. Because
the usual places, people will be able to find us there.
Yeah.
And I think for me personally, I think the Substack is going to be pushing there. 2 Substacks, 3 Substacks. I'm going to shout out 4 Substacks. Stella's Substack. Spooky Rusty's Substack, Meek Hassel, who might still be in the chat.
Love Christian, yeah.
Substack is really great, and Chris Bissett's Substack is really great. Those are like folks, and Kirby's working on theirs as well for DT. Like it's kind of I told I was talking to us, maybe it was Di this morning, and I was just like, yeah, it's nice because a couple of times a week, I'll get these emails and from James Tinian and Kelly Thompson, and these comic book creators, and I don't want to read them right away, but I can just leave them sitting in my inbox, and then I can pop over and I can look. It's a blog delivery service, and if I want more, I can go to their blog, and if I'm wealthy, I can purchase, like extended subscriptions and stuff like that. But I think it's a nice way to engage, especially for folks who are busier and doing this stuff, because I wish that I could say, and I do my best to go around and thumbs up everybody. A lot of people know Chewbacca. They do my Chewbacca emoji and stuff like that. But like, you can't really do a Chewbacca emoji on someone's Substack. But if you have a Substack, then you can mention their Substack in your Substack, and and pay that. And Nico's working on a blog ring, and a web ring and stuff like that. Mikey Lombardi, like it's great. Luke's Blot and all that stuff. Seamus, like, I don't know, he's all my nerd friends. But just kind of keeping the communication alive.
I think what you said about it being like the blogs delivered to you is like how I feel about it. And I think it's an interesting development in the blogs there. But Substack's
great. It's really nice that like you said, people can just post other people's Substack blogs onto their stuff, and like you can find a whole chain of it. And I know when we talked to Prismatic Wasteland about blogs and stuff like that, it was really eye-opening to be able to see how much really is out there, and it's really cool that that's kind of becoming a place for a lot of people to put a lot of their thoughts and to be able to spread that around. So it's really fantastic that you guys are going in that direction as well. So can't wait to get those a bunch, and then as you said, everyone else's. Do you want to do the giveaway? Do we want to actually give this to
yes,
people?
I didn't realize. Thanks for everybody who's still around listening to us. I haven't been reading the chat. I've been talking to these guys. But it's been a good show. So
yeah,
giveaway time. Do we want to do one or two?
Well, that's really up to you. You're doing the giveaway. They're fighting to the death. So however you want to do it. You want to do two just so we got double the fun for people out there. Yeah. Okay. So So if you have not entered the giveaway, you just have to be following to win. And hit !SPI. I'm gonna close that in like 5 seconds, and then I'll pick a couple out here. So if you somehow are here right now and haven't done it, we got Hunter on the countdown.
Okay.
1.
Yeah.
Okay, now let me remember how to close entries. Boom, and we are closed. So then this should pop up. So we're doing, I assume since you're holding it up, Dread Knights is the first one we're going to give away.
Yeah.
So that's going to be for Zero's Theory. You won a copy of Dread Knights. It's just gonna be Dread Knights. I know it says both, but that's just gonna be Dread Knights. So that's Zero's Theory. So Zero, if you're in the chat, hit me up on just message me or whisper me through Twitch or hit us up in the Discord, and we'll get your info to Jarrett, and we'll get that sent out.
And keep in mind, this is the not final copy. Like when you get the say not final, this thing we took it to GaryCon, and we ended up rearranging whole cloth sections and moving stuff.
It's got that limited edition smell to it.
It does.
Yeah.
It's funny. One of the 2 games I ran there, I was with several people who do editing for a living, and they chewed me up, and they're my friends, but I was just like, this is great. This is why we test. Is it perfect?
Yeah.
No, but sweet. So cool. Yeah. I'm gonna look at this with Post-it notes. Watch this. Putting this. You said Zeros?
Yeah, Zeros Theory. Yep.
All right.
So now Laundromat.
Okay. Laundromat number 42.
Damn, I should have entered for this one.
42.
I know. I wanted to enter for both these so bad, but I was like,
I'm not gonna do it. I'm on the show.
Yeah.
This is it's a 24-page hardcover. People are like, wait, to a hardcover book? Yes. It's like those. It's the books. Box.
Yep. Love books. And J Chill has won a copy of Laundromat. J Chill 29.
J Chill 29.
Woo! So, if you are here, message me. If you are not here, hopefully I'll find you or I'll whisper you on Twitch. Let me write that down just in case they're not here.
J Chill 29.
J Chill 29. All right. So congrats everyone that won that. I mean, honestly, I really wanted to enter, like I said, for that Dread Knights one, because there's not gonna be another copy of like that, like the unedited, been used, been beat up, been looked at by other people. That's a really, really awesome thing to have.
When I die, I'll add you to the list of, you get the Dread Knights. I'm not kidding. I have a box over here that has all the proof copies, because part of the editorial is when I have a larger book, I will print out like even the Mothership stuff. I'll print those out in 8.5 by 11, so I can sit and actually use them at the table and test them out and stuff like that. I've got stuff going back to, I don't know if I have a Troika Numinous in there. I've got some. There's a copy of Fever Swamp from like 8 years ago, and it was probably like iteration 7 or 8. That book went through like 13 revisions just on between Christian and I, just to get that, just to dial it in. So we made Luke's words and Andrew's art really good.
Those are the things. Like this thing right here that no one can see is the the pre-Kickstarter 12 years from Max Moon.
Oh,
That like
very
before
nice.
it's even edited or play tested or anything, it's like a prized possession. So those things are great. Love to have those, especially from an editor who's going to have like every different variation of those.
Yeah.
So listen, Jarrett, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show. This has been
thanks
really
for coming on.
fantastic. Open invitation all the time. If you got something big coming up, please
Awesome,
come
yeah.
on. Please talk about it. We're super happy to talk about anything that you do. Space Penguin sounds absolutely amazing. You've done awesome work. You know, like you said, over 500 books have your name in it, and every person who's ever spoken of you or has talked at all says how you're just such an amazing person and such an awesome positive force for the TTRPG industry. And it's really awesome to have you kind of helming Space Penguin and doing these things that you want to do, which is what we all want. So just can't thank you enough for everything that you've done, for everything that you're doing, and super excited for everything that's going to come from this. So
And I think we're both really excited about SPI. I think it's going to be really cool,
Amazing.
and I think it's going to be super weird, which I think like we're very much down for.
Yeah, well, thank you both for having me on. Super appreciate it, and thanks everybody who's in the chat watching us goof, and everyone,
All those nerds in chat,
everyone who I've worked with before, and everyone who I work with now, and everyone I'll work with in the future. Like, the world is a pretty cruddy place, and it's games just gives us a little bit of light, you know. It's we can all work better and change and do. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm getting sappy now. But it really is. It's like it's the reason I get up and do stuff is because I get to work with really great people, and I've learned a lot about myself by working with other folks and making cool weird shit. Like I said, 8-year-old me is super jealous of 48-year-old me. Like really happy that the kid inside me still gets to do game shit. So
yeah, that's awesome. Like we said, can't wait to see everything that's coming. Super excited for these releases, saving up money already. So really, like I said, really appreciate you being here. And for those listening, we're the Weekly Scroll. All our socials are here. They're everywhere that you'll find actually listening to us. So I'm not going to list them off again. But again, super appreciate you coming on, and everyone in chat. Thank you so much for being here. And you guys all have a wonderful day.